Saturday morning, dysfunctional part two, because it's just not over. It's never over. Dysfunctional dysfunction. How do we fix this? How do we resolve it? Is it resolvable? Oh, it is. It is with confrontation and conversation and listening, right? You know, it's just something that just really bothers me, and I want to be able to help, but I don't know how, right? I'm in school now. I'll be graduating in October with my bachelor's in business administration with a minor in management. But I'm going back for my master's because the degree that I want to, the job, the career that I want to pursue requires a master's. And that's going to, during these times we're in right now, made me change my mind about my major and what I wanted to do. And I want to help people. I really do. There are people that I know that need help, and I want to be able to help them in those areas. So that's why I changed my major. I changed my mind, right? You can change your mind with new information, when your surroundings change, when life changes, and that's what I will be doing. Dysfunction is like, can we just agree to disagree? Can we just get along? Can we just respect each other's different opinions, each other's different backgrounds? I don't know. I think we can, but we have to be willing to put aside the ego and the pettiness, right? Because a lot of stuff, if you really think about it, if you really cut someone off, you really stop talking to somebody, and that person is a close family member, what is that? What is that for you? You know, what is that? What does that look like? So I want to be able to help families. I want to be able to mend relationships, right? That's what I want to do. That's what I will be doing in the future. But for now, I'll continue to talk about it because it's so relevant. And you know, a lot of times when people do things, I don't take it personally. I don't, no matter who the person is, I just don't. And I look at the person and the situation, because a lot of times people are dealing with things that happened in their past. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not, saying that it's right at all. But I understand it, right? When you know the background, when you know the personal story. We don't always know the personal story. That's why we get so upset and we're ready to, cut them off, be done with them. But if you know everybody has a personal story, everybody has some trauma that they are dealing with or have not dealt with, right, or overcame. And when I look back on the situations, it's all resulted of childhood traumas. Let me say that, childhood traumas that the person has not really talked to anybody about or expressed anything to anybody, and they're holding these things in. And I'm not saying I'm not condoning it, but I understand it, And whenever you have a traumatic experience at a young age, that stuff just stays with you, and you kind of give that, I don't know what's the word I want to use, but you experience that with your relationships now, if that makes sense. You experience that with the relationships you have now. You don't even realize it, right? So for me, let me give you my example. For me, growing up in my childhood, I felt like I was rejected by men because my dad wasn't in my life in the beginning of my life. And in the story is, I'm not gonna go into all that because I don't know all the details about it. But I do know for me, I felt rejected, and so I was seeking approval. It's like the things that you lack, in your childhood, you seek those things in your adulthood. And that's kind of like a fear I walked around with for a long time. I fear being rejected. I fear being, nobody approved me, nobody loved me, in that male category. And I was seeking this in other men. And I couldn't, God, the Father Almighty, He was always there, even when my father wasn't there. And so I was seeking that. And I never found it. The people could never fulfill me. The men would never fulfill me because God. I was looking for stuff that for one, I already had inside of me, and for two, for how I was growing up, and the interpretation that I got from him not being in my life. I interpreted it as nobody loves I gotta do all these things to be approved. I don't want to be rejected. Nobody wants to be rejected. And I carried those bags around for so long. And I realized that this is what happens when you experience trauma in your life, whether it's, your mom not being there, your dad not being there. You're seeking these things, and sometimes you could be in pain and causing pain towards those individuals that, maybe seem to be a father figure or seem to be a mother figure in your life, and you're not really realizing what you're doing. Just really speaking from my personal experience, because those things I was doing and I didn't even realize it, and so when I see these things happening with people now, dysfunction, because I've seen that, I've came from that, I'm coming from that, I'm undoing the curses that I've experienced, and the cards that I was dealt. I was dealt the cards. I ain't crying about them, but they made me who I am, and it changed my life once I realized that I don't have to carry that stuff no more. I can let it go. I can forgive. Right? The key is forgiving, whether the person is sorry or not. The key is forgiving, and I've made it a habit of forgiving, whether I get an apology or not. I had to do that for me, because I wasn't hurting nobody but me. That's who I was hurting. I wasn't dragging nobody down but me. I had to love me, and I had to forgive people, and I had to forgive myself for the choices that I was making, right? That was the hardest part. Forgiving people, to me, is easy, but the hardest part was forgiving myself, because I'm like, why did I do this to me? Like, looking back on my life now, why did I do this? Why did I do that? I was so hard on myself. Like, I could have did this, I could have did that. Like, what was, but when you don't know, you don't know, But when you know better, you do better. But a lot of people, we're expecting them to know the things that we know, to be who we are, and that's not how it works. It's not. So I realized, once I began to work on myself and realized that I had suppressed issues that I just never really talked about, never really dealt with, once I began to release those emotions, to talk about it, to let it go, once I began to do those things, I began to heal. Therefore, those relationships around me began to be better, because now I have these tools that I can use to go into these relationships, right? Now I know that I don't have to seek these things from people, that God loves me and I love myself. Period, right? So that was the thing that changed my life. It had to happen. And I don't know when it's going to happen for you, but I do know that you have to, whatever happened to you, you have to release those things. You have to forgive those people that did those things to you. You have to. You have to do that for you. You have to. And I'm telling you, your relationships with other people will get better, but you have to heal. You have to deal with that pain. You have to release that pain. And I know it's not a good feeling, but on the other side of it, you're going to have a better life. Your relationships are going to be different. They are. They have no choice but to be. When I realized that I was stopping me, I was my biggest enemy. I was. Nobody else was. I was. It was the choices that I was making. It was the story that I kept telling myself over and over again. But guess what? You got the pen. You got the paper. It's time to write a new story. It starts with you. It starts with you. You might not never get that apology. You might not never get that closure. You got to be okay with that. Forgive. Whether the person is here or not, forgive. So you can move forward peacefully, healthy, and whole incomplete. Okay? From my heart to yours. Just something I wanted to share. Dysfunction. Let's break that pattern. It all starts with us. Let's break the pattern. Okay? Happy Saturday. Enjoy your day.